Hey guys, this is how to beat Necrosavants. So there's two primary types of Necrosavant camps you're going to engage for the bulk of the game. And these are either Necrosavants alone or Necrosavants with Ancient Auxiliary support. Both of these fights are fairly easy fights and are definitely doable fights. Very good risk to reward. There's a lot of famed items that come out of Necrosavant camps, and it's excellent to be able to approach these. Let's talk about general strategy, then our builds, then our loadouts, and get to it. So general strategy, Necrosavants are fairly predictable. They like to attack isolated targets. They teleport, so you can't really control their positioning by locking them in melee. They will almost always utilize high ground if it's available to them, and since they can teleport, the only way to prevent them from having high ground is either to occupy it or stay away from it. When they're with auxiliaries, they don't move in and attack till the end of round 2. And when they're by themselves, they engage immediately on round 1. When I'm fighting a mixed group of auxiliaries and Necrosavants, I like to back up the first round and the second round if I can. Sometimes I don't back up the second round. I just wait until the Necrosavants happen. Their initiative's high enough that if you back up one round on turn 1, the auxiliaries aren't totally on you yet. And then the Necrosavants at the end of round 2 will teleport in and be next to you. They may only get one attack because of the distance traveled, and then you can attack them with your full round of attacks. The biggest thing for Necrosavants is control. So you can see here my positioning is a little bit weird. If you look, my shield brothers are in the back ranks. This is deliberate. Versus Necrosavant fights, you don't get a front rank. They choose where they engage, so you don't get a front rank. I like to just interspace fairly evenly my tankier brothers and my brothers with shields. I want them on the ends, but I don't necessarily want them on the front. I call it starfish formation when I fight Necrosavants, where I'm trying to make a star, and the points of the star are my tankiest brothers. Necrosavants will like to attack isolated brothers. So if you, for example, this brother's isolated and that brother's isolated, deliberately so, and same with that brother and that brother. They're on the corners. They have the least number of friendly brothers touching them and the most number of empty tiles available for the Necrosavants to attack. Those are the types of positions they like to attack. And I want to put the tankiest brothers there because I want to direct the Necrosavants on my tankiest brothers, particularly brothers with shields. Types of things you want to bring to this build-wise. I bring whip hybrids, I bring a banner, I bring two-handers, I bring mega tanks to these fights. I don't really want archers in this fight. If I'm forced to bring archers, I often will bring them with a shield and just a wooden club. The types of things you're looking to do are taunt, net, disarm, and then by the way you position your guys, force them to attack. The rough goal is to make them always attack the tankiest target on your team. You can't control that perfectly, but you can do a lot of that via positioning. Disarm and taunt are excellent in this fight. Disarm, you're only going to get one per turn, of course, because of the 5 AP thing. And in this fight, this is prior to the whip nerf. But disarm makes the Necrosavant basically do nothing for a turn, which is amazing. Taunt forces the Necro to come to your guy. And unlike when you're fighting, for example, Orc Warriors, an Orc Warrior who's taunted, if he's standing in melee, he's not going to leave the brother he's next to attack your guy. So if you're 3 tiles away, the taunt does nothing. For Necrosavants, if you taunt a Necrosavant and you have open spaces near your taunting guy, the Necrosavant will always teleport to your guy and attack it. Now, taunt sometimes doesn't work, but that's a whole nother story. But in general, that's the expected outcome from using a taunt. And that's excellent. That means with a mega tank, you can taunt twice per round, and you can tie up 2 Necrosavants to constantly be attacking you, which is great. That means they're not attacking someone you care about. I use a heavy amount of stamina in the early fight for rotates generally to just make sure that I can focus fire Necrosavants. So the goal is to pick 1 or 2 and start removing them from the field, because in this game, like many games, a 0 hit point enemy is basically as good as, or rather a 1 hit point enemy is basically as good as a full hit point enemy. Necrosavants do heal off doing health damage to you, but it's not terribly relevant as a whole. But you just want to focus fire Necrosavants. Okay, talking about the positioning, the starfish formation, the guys on the tips of the points are the weakest, but there's also a way to save low hit points brothers. Sooner or later, you will have a part of a Necrosavant fight where somebody gets in the wrong position and gets a bunch of damage taken on them, and it's very difficult to protect brothers from Necrosavants. But Let's just take a look at this position. This is a good position to illustrate this. Necrosavants don't want to attack brothers who are surrounded by lots of other brothers who don't have a lot of open tiles. So if I were to, let's say this guy with the axe right here was very wounded and I killed this Necrosavant, I could move him right here surrounded by my other brothers to reduce the likelihood that Necrosavants are going to attack him. As you can see, terrain is super bad for us here. We start in a location we can't move to relocate, and there's multiple elevations, and our brothers are isolated from each other. These top 3 brothers who are being swarmed by Necrosavants because they're isolated can't be helped from the bottom ones because there's 2 terrain elevation change, and there's only 1 tile to move up through that. So this was a pretty bad spot for us, but it still is okay to deal with that. Luckily, our brothers, we placed them prior to engaging in this fight. We chose to put our tankiest brothers on the corners, which means that they have a lot of staying power versus things like Necrosavants. Necrosavants do have Headhunter, so they will do a lot of extra damage to the head. You definitely want to bring good head armor, but you always want to bring good head armor anyways. Not a whole lot else to be said about this. Your weapon choice doesn't matter all that much. Cleaves are okay. Bleeds will proc their 9 lives. Necrosavants have 9 lives, but it's not always that helpful. It procs their 9 lives after they attack, so it may not be all that relevant. Bleeds are fine, swords are fine. They have almost no armor to speak of, so weapons that just do high amounts of damage to flesh are fine. Two-handers are okay. Not great because it's a little bit hard to be mobile with them, but two-handers with stagger or stun are pretty good. Stuns in general are great versus Necrosavants. Daze is okay versus Necrosavant. Stagger is okay versus Necrosavant. It may allow you to act before them, for example. The two-handed mace stun is incredible versus Necrosavant. It wipes them out for 2 turns. They do not have resilient. They're one of the few enemies that are worth stunning that also don't have resilient. I do bring a banner to this. Your brothers can lose morale rapidly from Necrosavants teleporting next to them, which is annoying. There's no particular fear attack they use, but I've just had bad experiences with brothers panicking versus Necrosavants. Other than that, rotate saves lives. Rotating brothers to the center of a formation or to a part of the formation where there's not very many accessible tiles will prevent Necrosavants from attacking it. Focus fire, wear them down. Watch your positioning. It's a really fun fight. It's a kind of a different fight than a lot of the ones you're taking. It's very doable. The loot's great, and it's not much of a gear fight. You don't have to have great gear to go into this fight. You don't have to have great weapons. You don't have to have great brothers. It's all fairly doable. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but so do most fights in this game. I think adrenaline works fine here. I think I see one of my brothers has an adrenaline buff over there. A lot of my enemy Necrosavants in this picture are disarmed. You can see me bringing nets. There's a bunch of stuff you can bring to this fight that is really good in it that aren't necessarily things you get to use all the time. So that's pretty cool. Something else to be aware of, Indomitable does reduce bleed damage as well, so bringing Indomitable to a guy who's low. I bring bandages to this fight as well. I've definitely saved brothers from having bandages, rotating them out and bandaging so they don't die to the cleavers. The cleavers, they don't have cleaver spec, which is kind of weird. Most of the enemies have cleaver spec if they're going to be using cleavers, but Necrosavants don't, so they only bleed you for 5 instead of 10, which is kind of nice. But yeah. Okay, I think that about covers this fight. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you guys will get to farm Necrosavants and enjoy the benefits of those famed items. See you soon. Okay, who are we bringing for this? The whips have been excellent in this fight, repeatedly. How is this never repaired? I keep trying to repair this hat. It never gets there. And bandages. I don't know what we're doing with Nobu yet. We are going to level her. Not here. Probably bring her in the next fight. The Necrosavant, the Geist one. Care Bear's healed again. 3 max level dudes. Need a shield on Zach. Mr. Bucket's kind of taking that role too, although I'm not super excited about him dying. Don't want the archers. Hybrid's fine, especially when we load her up with a net. I would like Hats on Fire in this fight. I'm gonna bring one of the new guys too. Is it the hammer or the mace? The mace. I haven't loved this mace. Alright, how's our armors looking? This is a little bit light, the 150. 230. That's the one that got wrecked. Banner with Nimble. Everybody rocking bandages. Who can use them? Nearly. Okay. I prefer mace to axe in this fight. The hammer to axe, rather. Alright, I think Nobu should have that. Should probably have 130. Probably have an 80 hat for now. This look okay? Looks okay. Alright, let's engage. Quick break for me. Back in a second. Alright. Kind of a lot here. And these elevation changes, ugh. You might lose people here.
A resplendent offering.
Holy crap. Minith, the 6,969 bits. Good God. All right, I'll add you to the list, Minith. All right. All the bits. All the bits. I can't interact with the ones up north. That's too many to not be able to interact with. That's really bad. Two changes of elevation, so they're just dead. How do I have to get up? I have to get up through a one-tile choke? Wow. Give me a fucking break with this spawn, huh? Can we kill this? Maybe. Wow. I just moved away from him. He didn't punch me when he's disarmed. They don't get opportunity attacks when they're disarmed? Oh, he's kind of isolated. He might get fucking jumped on here. So do we want to test that no opportunity attack? Yeah, when he's disarmed, no opportunity attack currently. Weird. No, did they not punch at all? Punch is a racial skill and they don't have it? So it's not everyone you're saying? It's annoying how well they've dodged my ability to control them from their stupid positioning. Thank you. Thank you very much. Alright, chat. I got food in front of me. I'm going to finish this fight up with the webcam muted. Should be clean up here.